balls. It's like the hairless
Oh,
cat down there.
no kidding. Oh my goodness. Ha ha. Ha ha
Hey,
ha.
coming to you live from the subarctic. It's the CNM show.
And
Finally.
Las Vegas, Sin City.
Yep, yep.
And just to
So
clarify, you can still hear me.
I can hear you just fine. Finally. What a
Oh my
nightmare
gosh.
that was trying to get
20
on.
minutes.
So yeah. People keep trying to join because I accidentally copied the wrong link in. So stop doing that. Don't click the Be Live link. Please do not click the. Stop it. Stop it, fuckers.
Welcome to 2020.
Well, welcome to 2020.
So
Yeah,
before we
holy
do,
shit. Anyway, I'm back.
how is your heart?
It's been better. It's been better. The operation was a little over a week and a half ago, and still having some minor episodes. But the doc said 1 to 3 months before things would settle down and I'd have a normal heartbeat again. I don't have the runaway racing, but still it beats out of sync. It beats heavy. Sometimes it'll go faster for no reason and makes me a little restless because it's beating like I'm running when I'm just sitting still. So it still has a ways to go, and also the heartbeat is different, and that is until you've had a change like that, you don't realize it because
Yeah.
okay, it wasn't beating great before, but now it's different. So that's going to take some getting used to. That's probably the 1 to 3 months part.
Yeah, probably so. But in general, though, the I guess I'm trying to understand because you told me this a couple of times before that it's irregular, but I always got the impression it's the one when it just goes bonzos that was really debilitating and concerning.
Yeah.
Okay, so not planning on dying anytime soon.
So I'm my catchphrase is sufficiently not dead to be able to go back to work. And actually, I got 2,200 words already this morning, in addition to coordinating some stuff for the conference. So today has been a very productive day already, and it's
Oh,
20 after 8. So my time.
no. So I'm gonna have to give up that joke that I've been playing for the last 6 to 8 weeks about. Are you dead yet?
Sufficiently not dead.
Not dead.
That's what we're going with. That's what we're going with, man. So what about you? How have you been feeling lately? You went to China. You're not dying. You're not dead.
Oh no, I have no virus. We weren't even remotely near that area of China. We're in Macau, which is for you those that don't know, the other Vegas. It's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle. If you go to the opposite side of the world, there's a Bermuda Triangle equivalent, and the Macau is the Bermuda Triangle equivalent of Vegas. So it was quite interesting to see, things you recognize here. Like there's a Venetian over there, so you see a van with all painted up with Venetian and everything, the branding going on. I'm in a totally different city, and yet there goes the Venetian. Mark W. Stallings sent me a text the other day asking me, how's 2020 treating you? And my only reply at that moment, I was having breakfast, was like it's bitch, because my jet lag has been horrible coming back this way, and I'm still just, when we set up this call about a week ago, however many days ago it was, we said 9 o'clock, and I was concerned about, maybe it was going to be too early because of sleep and everything else. And then yesterday I got up at a decent time. I'm like, oh, maybe I can do it earlier. No, that alarm came too early this morning.
Nah, but you
Pause.
were up. You were up early, so
I had 3 alarms set. I was making sure, to the best of my ability, that I was going to be awake.
there we go. There we go. Yeah, I didn't have the problems coming from Australia back this way. I mean, we stopped in Fiji for a day and a half, then we stopped in Hawaii for 3 days, and when we finally made it back to Alaska, the only thing shocking was the damn weather. But outside of that, it was yeah, no real jet lag. But then they put me under like 5 days later. I was under for 6 7 hours. So I mean that set me straight on sleeping. So all is well. Back to work. Conference is looking good. Conference is
Yes.
looking good. We're getting things set up. When I did the schedule initially, I guesstimated some. I'm like, okay, we'll do this, a little bit of this, a little bit of switching the cups around, and then all of a sudden, when I put the template together yesterday, I realized we have slots for 135 sessions.
I don't know that we want
100.
to. do that
30.
many.
Yeah,
But
last year I think we recorded some 70 sessions and have 5 sessions that weren't recorded.
but one of the big things I received coming feedback from it was more, I don't know what to call it, 2.0, publishing 2.0, 3.3. I guess they 200, 300, 400 level courses, if you want to say
Yeah,
the equivalent to college. So those would be interesting, but there would need to be some sort of understanding. It's similar in those 300, 400 courses. You don't get there unless you've done X.
yeah,
And I don't know necessarily how to accomplish that because it's not like we're sitting here. We're not actually a college. We're not a university. It's not our freaking job to be able to figure this out. And
yeah,
yet, if the people who come into it are listening and they have a question, and that is very much predetermined, how do you react to that? Because then you're taking up the time from those who've been there and done that.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't, I mean, that's want to help, but at the same time, I'm like, come on, there's got to be a give and take.
And that's I do have basic and advanced tracks. And the thing with the advanced and then let's call it the hyper advanced track, because one of the sessions that we've got this year is marketing when your budget is at least $10,000 a month for advertising. So
Mm-hmm.
what does that look like? And that's one of those sessions where if you're in there, you should know the other people in there with you, just
At
because
least
people
know
spend
of them.
or at least know of them. Yeah. Oh man, I heard of you. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's you don't get there lightly. You're not spending 10 grand a month if you don't know what you're doing and you aren't already on the radar because you're making good money. I mean, you can't just step in and all of a sudden start spending 10 grand a month. So those kinds of sessions, we've got advanced sessions. It's I don't think we'll ever be able to break it out just because we don't charge for fees and people aren't separated that way. It's all self-declared because if we say, well, if you self-declare less than 100,000, you can't come to the session. Then all we do is make everybody self-declare 100 grand when they register. Hey, I'm making 100 grand off my books. What? You haven't published any yet. I mean, I don't want to play that game where I force people to
Yeah,
lie. And so
yeah,
it'll be as it has been. I mean, we'll put it for advanced session and then it'll be recorded so you can watch it later, but you really don't go live if that. And if you do, it's okay. Nobody's going to kick you out unless you ask a question like, well, how do I start my marketing campaign? No, you need to go. You're in the wrong place.
yeah,
So that's because those conversations, I mean, if you're spending 10, 20, 30 grand on an advertising campaign, you don't want to be distracted with from some answers that could help you, because that's one of the things where maybe you have Drafted Digital in there, maybe you have Kobo in there, maybe you have Amazon in there, because hey, we're looking at spending this we want to get bang for our buck. We're not just going to throw this money out there and say, hey, take it, buy my books. No, it's targeted much better than that. So that's just one example of what advanced sessions would be.
yeah. So we have a couple, and there. I'd like to do. We have 3 days. And there's only so much time that we can peel out even my schedule, but I'd like to do one or two publishing, advanced publishing,
Mm-hmm. I've
and
got a
those
couple
are
for that.
okay. And I think that would, at least as far as I know, I mean, I'm sure you get a whole lot more comments than I do, but it really was. We seem to have gotten the message out that it's in the relationships, and now people are like, we're figuring this out. It's in the relationships. Now, how about these advanced courses? And I'm like, okay. So, 2020. The idea was, what is it that people are saying they want to accomplish, and how, if any, advice we could give toward those goals. You got
Yeah.
any? What are yours? What's your 2020?
It's 2020. My goal for this year is to leverage my backlist and demonstrate that I can make a healthy full-time living off my backlist while publishing 6 books this year,
Okay.
maybe 8. So not as much writing as in past years, but more leveraging and then more intentional hard launches. I do want to hit big numbers on some of the books I launch, and so that means more intentionality, long pre-order period, with more marketing that builds up, and a campaign for the first week of the launch of a new first in series, so we can see how to maximize the revenue, maximize the rankings, and keep the book in front of as many people as humanly possible. And that'll be the Where Tigers in Space. I really want to launch that one hard in a way to drive to my other backlist. So once again, leveraging that backlist. And I saw somebody commented that they'd like to see something regarding backlist on at the show. And of course, we'll do a separate session for that. And no, we're not going to let panelists decide what prerequisites are, especially in advanced sessions. Those advanced sessions will be pretty set, be more of a presentation than just a bunch of panelists talking about things, because these are very, very specific points on how to leverage the most, how to reach the absolute maximum number of readers, and how to get in where if you drop $5,000, you can pick up 5,000 new readers on a book. And where are those places, and what do they look like? And that's something that no, I'm not going to have panelists decide the prerequisites on the advanced sessions.
And you couldn't anyway. I mean, once again, there's nothing stopping anyone at the door. So that's just we're trying to figure out how to facilitate some of these, and with the desire to allow as many people access on the pricing, that also limits us on other things that to do. For instance, one of the easiest way to limit that is just make it a $15,000 project. It's like, well, only those that could actually spend $15,000 could actually show up.
Yeah,
that kind of bit us on the butt in Bali, but it's just not our gig. It's just not our mentality.
Not really, and that's not our mentality. I came into this spending money like I was already there, because I had a nice war chest of funds. I mean, I bought Tom Edwards covers as soon as I got hooked up with Tom Edwards. And so it's, I don't want to prohibit people who are driven and are working hard at the right things. So that's what Cabo is going to be like with a $7,500 buy-in. That's going to be the discriminator. $7,500, and there's zero guarantee that you're going to get 2 cents worth out of that. So it comes down to
Cabo.
What's that?
So you better enjoy Cabo.
Yeah. I hope you enjoy your time on the beach. If you're just hoping to find somebody to carry you, because that shit ain't going to happen. What's going to happen is people are going to have high level conversations about little things to tweak. How do you go from making $25,000 to $30,000? How do you go? I mean, $50,000, $100,000. What does that look like? What's the investment? What's the lag in your cash flow? Can you weather a lag in your cash flow, and can you weather a down month? So these are important things to consider and be able to handle before you jump into that kind of fray. So I'm not trying to chase people away from Cabo, but just understand it's a huge investment with no guarantees. This isn't a course with money back after 30 days. No. You're going to Cabo. You're going to enjoy some fruity drinks. You're going to hang out with people who have been there and are still hungry, which is the important thing. And that's the 2020 goals. That's one thing I wanted to say. I'm still hungry, even though, I'm, sufficiently not dead to still be hungry. Trying to get that thing, my goal of one book that sells 100,000 copies. So that's what I eventually want to get to. So I'll keep writing, keep charging, keep refining my processes. What about you, Michael? How we're 25 days into the year, so already 7.3% done. I just made that up. I have no idea. This is me and math,
Well, it's kind of interesting because what had happened is I had an operations meeting with Stephen Campbell, VP of Operations and Audio, and Lynn Stigler on the editing side. And in those discussions, this is back in December, and in those discussions, in 2018, I said, I set the goal for LMBPN for 2019 to be able to do 400 books. And it was a goal, righteous goal, going to the moon, seeing how far we could get there, and all of the benefits we would accrue. We accomplished what I truly wanted to accomplish, which wasn't necessarily 400 books, but to really stress test us. So in December, the question is, what was 2020 going to look like? And I said, we're going to unfuck ourselves. Now, mind you, my comment was, we, LMBPN, is going to unfuck ourselves and do better. However, when I made you over in Australia, and I tell you this story, this is what happens to me. I hear somebody else explain that Craig has put up on 20 books in the front of 37,000 or 38,000 people, that what I had said was I wanted 2020 to be unfuck myself. And I'm like, so I had to ask you, I'm like, Craig, how did you get unfuck us to become unfuck me? And your answer was, do you remember your answer?
I don't. I was ill. I was on my deathbed making
Well,
confessions.
your answer was, I needed to personalize it.
Okay, yeah, that does sound like me.
And so, and the other thing that was funny in the last 6 weeks, since we haven't spoken in so long, is Judith and I have been down in Cabo in mid-December. We were looking over our house. We actually have a house. It's not just an expensive plot of dirt. We had walls up. You know, we're going through it, and we have to duck and worry about hitting our head on shit. Anyway, so we're there, and we're at the Pacifico, which is where I coined the term 20 looks to 50K. It's right there. I'm looking out and I'm enjoying stuff. And Judith and I happened to be near where there were the rooms for conferences. Now, I've been there multiple times. I've never seen them, so I go into them. And Judith and I look around and we see what it is. We go, yeah, we could actually hold a conference, because you and I had spoken before about Cabo. So offhand, I make the comment to you that we've done this, and I tell you this little story. So what happens to me within 2 or 3 days? I hear.
I think it was 2 or 3 hours, actually, is what you meant to say.
So I get a message. What's this I hear about Cabo? I'm like, what? Who said we're doing? Oh, Craig said that he put it up on the Facebook. We're doing Cabo, and I'm like, where did he get from? Hey, look, they have conference rooms. To, hey, look, we're doing Cabo.
Yeah, 2021. It's after Bali. Bali was such a life-changing experience for so many people. Probably half the people at the show had a significant change in their revenue streams, in their business operations, because of that show. Out of the 38 people, we had a good number who completely changed their trajectory, and in such a positive way that I didn't want to miss out on it. And plus, Mark Dawson was he was hammered on about it, and Kevin J. Anderson's like, hey, when's the next? Okay, man, all right. So I bowed to the pressure, and also I want to go to Cabo too, because it sounds like fun, and most importantly, it's only one time zone away from me, as opposed to Bali, which was like 50 time zones away from everybody. And a challenge to get to at the best of times, but I can get to Cabo in 2 flights.
Okay.
2 flights.
It takes me 2 flights as well, actually, to get down there.
See, our ultimate goal. This is between Michael and me, is that I'll fly to Vegas, and then we'll have a private jet take us to Cabo for a week. So that's our ultimate goal, that we can do that. So what's that going to take? I got to leverage that damn backlist. I got to find 100,000 readers. We have to keep moving forward without keeping the expenses climbing. If we can cut our expense rate and increase revenue, then overall profitability allows us some space in there to work. But that's it. I mean, I get a lot of my old military friends are now pilots, and a bunch of them are flying private jets for people. And there's a lot that you can get. It's not really that expensive considering, but that's the goal. Take a private jet to Cabo, and a green private jet. It'll be all electric, charged with solar.
I just finally realized, because for most of the time I don't see anything else that's going on. You're like reading quotes. And I don't know, 3-4 months ago, I went and tried to actually see the quotes and speak to everybody, and it just totally foobarred my Chrome. Well, as an idiot, I finally realized I could have Safari over here open, seeing people make comments while we actually talk. And then I noticed I'm sitting here with my hand in, my head in my hands, just like, oh my God. So on 2020 and the year, so really from us, the reason that I specified what it is we've actually pushed ourselves at LMVPN quite a bit. We really stress test ourselves. And so we know what we can do. All we're doing is making it better, faster, stronger, easier to accomplish. So right now, our goal is approximately between 240, 260 books that we create. So that doesn't include new backlist or new omnibuses or new box sets or any acquisition of backlists. That's just new IP. So if you add all of those, we're going to be probably back at the same level, which is somewhere north of 300 books released in 2020, but doing it in a much more focused effort. We have a lot more pre-orders going on. We have a lot more marketing going down, making those things happen a little easier. In order for us to accomplish what we did last year, our editing team had a couple of months of well over, over 2 million words. But because of editors falling in and out of what was going on, that was really dumped on 2 people. And that was, a massive amount. And so we don't want that to happen again. We actually want the reservation, and we want the bench, so to speak, of our editing team to be there so that when we do scale into the 2.5 million words in a month that we need to get edited, people aren't personally suffering from that. So we have our challenges laid out before us.
Yeah. Well, the thing I noticed about LMBPN over the last 3 years was the ramp up of infrastructure and capacity. The capacity to handle 2.5 to 3 million words at the peak, and keeping people on board to fill in, flesh out those extra words when needed, and trying to stop trying to join the broadcast, and trying to deliver in a timely manner. So when people give books and we backed our timelines off, we're 2 weeks, 3 weeks for new first in series, and 2 weeks before other books. So we had to improve. Everybody had to improve their deliverability, and then that meant moving stuff out. So instead of hey, I'm going to release next week, I haven't finished writing the book yet. No, you're going to release in 3 weeks then, just to push it down to where we weren't stressing people out, to include the authors like me. I mean, I really tried to get a lot of books done last year, and that was rough. So this year, step back. I only have, I think, 2 deadlines that I need to hit, and I'll be good. But another big thing I need to do this year is for backlist. We pulled the monster case files. That was a missed target. We've got new covers that are righteous, but I need to rewrite those books. So I've got to go back through them, and so that's going to be a 2 or 3 day effort per book. Which isn't overwhelming, to say the least. So, but that's 2 to 3 days for a 9-book set. So that's almost an entire month dedicated to that. However, we pulled those books, so they are earning 0 revenue right now, sitting on, probably 20 grand in total costs for those books over the time that we were doing them, along with the second iterations of covers, interior artwork, and all kinds of other fancy stuff. But how do we get that earning? Hey, if I can give myself, a month and just focus on it, then we can have that back up to speed and have those start earning money for us again. And that'll be a whole new launch, a whole new target genre.
All right. So did you actually research any of what other people were saying about what their 2020 goals were? And if not, or even if so, which one do you want to talk to?
How about embracing marketing? Because you said it yourself with LMBPN, do more marketing for longer for book launches and more engagement. So for me, it's a little more A/B testing with Amazon ads and these are my moneymakers, my omnibus editions. Now that I've got them, I've got 2, 3 more that I'm putting together. I just published one or 2 days ago. My End Days series, 4-book set written with Brian King. Well, he did the heavy lifting. He did the heavy lifting on the writing. But we have these 4 books, and so we put them into an omnibus, and now I've got some ads going on those already after 2 days, just to see what I can get, see which keywords are leveraging that I can then turn into Facebook ads based on retargeting and some other successful campaigns that I've run, and hit those and then ramp up. Because right now I'm only spending $100 a day on Facebook ads. When in total between a number of series, I get that back every day. So I earn my money back every single day. I'm not taking a hit on that at present. And one of the series, one of the box sets that I'm running ads on, every single day, it has never failed to pay out every single day. The worst I hit, I'm spending 30 a day on that one. And the worst day I've had between sales and page reads was, I think, $39. So
Okay.
yeah, 30%, hey, not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Yeah,
And
day in.
usually it's more like a 2-to-1 payback.
The challenge with that is you have to go effectively 3 months worth of spend
Yeah.
before you start getting the money that you spent 3 months ago. I've done some of the maths, and yet last year I was looking at possibly doing a $300,000 to $500,000 bank loan until, and that's in order for me just to take out my own money, because I don't know that a lot of people realize that LMBPN is self-funded. So as we grew, we just put that money back in, which means we lost some money
Yeah.
when we made bad decisions. Romance. And
Romance.
so I don't think anyone in romance needs to worry about us anytime soon. So here's my joke for 2020 was 2 years ago in 27. We're in 20. Anyway, 2 years ago, 2018, lost about $20,000 doing some romance stuff. In 2019, I decided to double down and lose $40,000 in romance efforts. And so in 2020, I decided to make $80,000 by not doing any romance. Just seize that money. But it's like the damn siren call. I mean, you ladies, you romance ladies. I told this to the ladies in Australia because for half the room in Australia was romance, and I'm like, you ladies are in just a whole new conundrum of situations that I just decide not to play in right now. I get too many opportunities over here to do that. But having said that, I mean, we did things a little bit differently. I come from an SEO marketing background. I had a company in online, offline sales integration. So when I started my business, I had that knowledge, even though I had no clue about publishing or writing, I had that backup knowledge and it was beneficial. And so for myself, I never, and I'll just put it out there, I did not hire another marketing company. There was a few reasons for that, but one of them is it's almost impossible to truly get a marketing company to do your Facebook ads ever, all that other stuff, if they're already charging you $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Yeah. Now, if you're spending $15,000, $30,000 a month, okay, the percentage ratio is there. But they really have to be able to show what's going on because it takes a concerted month, a set of months for anyone, for them to be able to set up your ads, for you to be able to set up your ads. And then you have to have situations where the individuals are willing and able to understand they're going to spend $15K of your money. And that's hard for some individuals to do because for themselves, they can do $5 and $10 ad spends and they'll make their 15, they'll make their 30. But when you need to dump $500 on them, that's challenging, or $1,000 or $1,500 a day. And so, so that there's new mentalities necessary. And the reason I go into the marketing is someone mentioned in the comments, yay, marketing. So we waited. Now, beyond that, here's one of my other concerns. I'm not saying it's true about anybody, but LMBPN has hundreds of books, years of knowledge in our marketing efforts. I'm not just sharing that with another company that's going to make money. It's not happening. I'm not giving them my history so they can figure it out and then go use it to make other. It's not happening, folks. Yeah. So that is just something that I chose not to do. And so it took me until last year to find the resource that we publicly engage. And when that happened, I hired him away from his existing job. So now, mind you, I also pulled in Mike Bray and Craig himself to make that happen. But it sounds a whole lot better if I just say, stop. I hired him away. But
that's an important point. I mean, understand that anybody who's helping you market is going to take all your data, which is what Facebook does, because Facebook is free. Even when you're paying for your ads, they're still collecting all your data to then help share with other people. So as a relatively small fish, because I know Amazon is now running ads on Facebook. They run Amazon ads for books and stuff like that on Facebook. So if they're using it, let Facebook collect all their data to help me optimize my ads. Because I'm sure the reciprocal isn't making Amazon a whole lot of money, not to the orders of magnitude that they need. So there's where you win by going with other using other platforms, I should say. But anytime you advertise, anytime you do anything, just understand people are collecting your data. And if you're going through a marketing company, then they're collecting your data for their use as
At
opposed
least
to
knowledge. Let's clarify that
Amazon or
between.
Facebook.
Yeah, I don't even pretend to believe that most of these companies are downloading your data. I'm not suggesting that, but what they are doing is understanding what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and they're using your money to refine processes and improve that they can then use for their marketing campaign to pick up more clients.
Yeah.
So you want to win, and we're not against anybody making a dollar or two
They
in a
need to.
business, in a service industry. Just understand, be careful with your money, especially as you make more. And one premise is if you have a Facebook ad, you spend $10 and you make 30. Well, if you spend $1,000, that doesn't mean you're going to make 3,000. All right, that's not how it's. It doesn't scale up that way. That would be a nice thing if it did, but it doesn't. So when you test at 10 and you find success and get 30, start ramping up, and now all of a sudden you're spending 30 to make 35, and you're wondering what the hell happened. Well, now you've got to figure out a different venue, and you start at 30 instead of 10, and 30 to make 90, and okay, now you start ramping up, and now you're spending 50 to make 100, and that's okay. But then when you're spending 90 to make 110, now you got to start over and figure out again. So this is the process that's ongoing constantly with your marketing campaign. So as you ramp up, it's starting with a new baseline benchmark and working your way up as you learn the lessons of the right keywords. The right targeting is your key to everything. You have to target the readers that are most likely going to read and like your book, because you can target people who will buy anything, but they're not going to buy that second book if they read the first one and it's not good. So we don't need to talk about quality. You have to have a good book. You have to have a great blurb that convinces them they need to buy this book. And if you can get that great blurb above the fold in that first 5 lines on your Amazon product page, and they can one click from there, then you win. Because every time somebody clicks one more time, you lose like 30% of the people clicking through to the next click. So you want them to look at your cover, love your blurb in that first 5 lines, and then click buy now. One click buy. So that is the ultimate goal. That leads into the second ultimate goal, 2 ultimate goals, the penultimate goal. Now, the second goal, which is they like your book enough to buy the next one. And that's I would always say, if you're going to spend money marketing, you have 5 books. You don't spend $10 on each book. You spend 45 on the first book and then $5 on the last 4, just to let them know, hey, these other ones are out. But you want to focus on that first book and make sure you update your link, which I still need to do with a lot of our books, Michael. Is at the end of the first book, say, hey, you need to buy the second book, because we got a review last week on like Nomad Found. Oh, can't wait till the next book comes out. Like, oh Jesus, there's like 27 more books in that series. Oh my God. So yeah. So I think we might want to update that link saying, hey, the series is complete. Here it is. Go to the series page and choose wisely. So
one of the things about that I started was I felt I needed to have 3 books before I did any advertising. And the reason for that, of course, is that when you put people into book 1, however you choose, whether it's first free, first 99 cents, first at $3.99, $5.99, whatever, but you want to be able to then make money enough on them and the read through to offset your advertising costs. If you use the strategy that we've been testing here at LMBPN since last year, where we actually took the first 3 books, wrapped them up in effectively just one large book and released that, not 1, 2, 3 create box set, but rather build 1, 2, 3, write 1, 2, 3, and then put that into one book and release that first. And then this year we're actually building, like Chuck Dixon. We're building. I think we've just finished the 6 covers necessary, and we're going to break apart that book and release the 6 books. And so, but what that does is now you have one really humongous book, and if you're in Kindle Unlimited, you get all of those funds, right? So you're not going to get 3 times $3.99, but you never would anyway, because you're going to have people drop off between book 1 and book 2. So you have to then calculate, if I have 70% read through between 1 and 2, well, I only get 70% of the money if they were to buy it. And typically your KU to regular purchase is something like 60-40 anyway from a money split. And so, but the KU on a 180,000 word book is quite nice. I will tell you that right now. and you've reduced the friction to where you have a whole lot more people going from book 1 to book 2. Anyway, peace.
So which of the Federation you're finally starting to going to break those up?
Not which, because that became too popular, and we're now putting out book 5 in that series. And then we had audio companies purchase the rights, but Chuck did Chuck's book.
Okay.
We got those 6 covers coming in, and we'll be putting that out and testing it.
So book 5 of which is actually books 13 to 15, right?
Something like 12 to 14, because
okay.
We got a little ambitious with 2 of our books, and they went way over. So I wasn't releasing like a 270,000 word book. So I'm like, no, this is just going to be 10 and 11 or 9 and 10.
Okay. But that's it. So book 5 is actually like the 5th omnibus edition, but
yes.
that series is doing really well. So congratulations on that. But that's the marketing campaign. At first, the title was a home run because it created an ambiguity within readers' minds for favored series of yours. So this is one thing I didn't do.
I wouldn't do that.
Albeit unintentional.
Yes.
It was a huge draw, just the title. And this is one thing I didn't do when I first started writing. I wrote titles like I was freaking Robert E. Howard or something. And I mean, he committed suicide before he sold his first book because his sales were so bad. So yeah, don't follow that methodology for creating your titles. Do which of the Federation kind of titles. Those are much better. So and it all goes to the alignment of appealing to a potential reader to help them become a reader and a fan. And that's so the marketing campaigns, I'm not trying to get a person just to buy one book. I want somebody to buy my whole backlist whenever I can hook them. And that's I'll show all of my covers in a series. I'll show everything, have some kind of engaging characteristic for a character in the blurb, tried and true, broken characters still doing good, justice as a main theme always, those kinds of things that resonate, and you keep your readers happy, then you are going to be happy at the end of the month on payday.
What 2020 goals have you seen people espouse in the group that have made you thought, on goal setting this year?
There's a lot of people who are embracing productivity, but it's in a healthy way. One guy wrote 970,000 words in 2019, and he said, I want to get over 1 million in 2020. Okay, now that's not unreasonable. You already have a good writing methodology for getting words. Some people want to publish 4 books instead of 3. So nobody really went from, I wrote 1 book in 2019 and it took me 5 years, but 2020 I'm going to write 6. I haven't seen that, even though I'm sure there are people who, hey, I took all those lessons learned and I know I can condense my processes to then churn them out. Now I'm dictating, I'm doing those things to get those words down. And the editing now is not so cumbersome because I've got the processes down. Those things like you did when you built your infrastructure for your company, they're building internally their own personal infrastructure to manage the processes. And I think we've hit on perfection is the enemy of good. So anybody who wants to have that perfect manuscript, you're going to suffer greatly in the self-publishing industry as well as life as a whole, because there is no such thing as perfect. And this is where the readers are your best determinant of, and especially if you find the right readers. If you're writing shifter romance and you target the shifter romance readership and they don't like your book, then something didn't align. And so, but if it did, and you target the right readers, then they'll start providing feedback. Well, this character should have or had the opportunity to do some things, and you can adjust and keep moving forward. And eventually, you'll be delivering stuff that they can't put down, and they'll be dying for the next book as well. So that's when you're you're on the right track. When they binge read your book in one day and are begging for the next book. That's the last book in the Executioner series. That was it. I mean, we don't do arcs. So we published it and within one day, I think we had 13 reviews, and we cook at the 1% rate. So that's probably over 100 people read the book in one day. And those who took the time to comment said, I can't wait till the next book comes out. Thanks for a great story, which is always a huge, huge bonus for me personally. It's like good, because I always wonder, are they going to like this story? Because no stories are close enough that I can say, well, it's just all I did was recycle everything and they'll love it. I don't know for sure, because I don't recycle everything.
So are you saying that you don't take lessons learned, or you merely don't follow your own recipe?
I don't template those books.
Yeah.
Where this must happen, then this must happen. This character must always do this, and in the end, they always have to high five. I mean, it's not. This isn't Top Gun. The cool high five,
Yes. Complete with sound effects. For you people who are listening, you just missed something amazing. So a few of the things on the 2020, as I look back, I mean, you personally, you helped in Adelaide describe it as I was in a funk. I was pretty worn out right after 20 books, and that was a physical and mental exhaustion. But once the physical and mental goes away, and that takes 2 to 3 weeks minimum, I still had a lot of lethargy. And you defined it well as just I was in a funk. And because it was a hard 2 years, really hard 2 years. That everything that we did, everything that we accomplished, also included going to Adelaide, going to Edinburgh, going to London twice or once, going to Frankfurt, going to China, all of those things that we did. And yet we still accomplished this other part, which was what I set out to do. So I'm not whining about it. I'm merely stating that this is what happened to me. And I see that it happens to a lot of people in whatever they're doing, because I don't have kids at home. So I don't have to deal with all of the extra stuff that goes on top of that and then go, where am I going to peel away even 30 minutes for writing? Yeah. It doesn't matter if it was a jet lag issue or kids kept you up all night. The result is the same. You're exhausted. And so I think that we need, it's almost like a Lizzo situation where we need to love ourselves and allow ourselves the opportunity to screw up every once in a while and just go, you know what, if we're trying to go up a mountain, the mountain's not going to move if you fail to try to climb it one more day. It's not going anywhere. So allow yourself the time and the mental capacity to keep going at it.
Yeah, well, I'll second that. With my heart issues acting up the last 6 months, Vegas was an incredible drain, and then followed by Adelaide. Adelaide I thought was okay, but the traveling and numerous issues with the humidity in Fiji, that my session, if you watch my session on release strategies in Adelaide, I was physically dying on stage. My heart was about ready to give up. So that's my breathing. It wasn't asthma. It was my heart. So anyway, I've challenged the Adelaide folks who are intending on coming to 20 Books Vegas to watch me. And if that happens again, to get me to a nurse and take me to the hospital so I don't die. I have high hopes that Vegas will be much, much better. But 4 conferences last year was max. That's, almost put me in the grave. So just 1 this year. And next year, hopefully Cabo along with Vegas 2021, if we can move to a venue that'll support 2,000 to 2,500 people. We'll have 1,500 or 1,600 at Vegas this year. And one of my goals is I want everybody to be happy. Those 135 sessions, nobody can go to them all. Nobody can go to more than a fifth of them because they'll all be happening about the same time. But we're recording every session this year, so you'll catch up. So that
I know you said this last year. We're going to record a bunch of them. We know some of them actually are just like non-recordable because we don't want them recorded. So technically,
I haven't set any of those sessions up. So those might be a private meeting session, which isn't a session and isn't listed on the schedule. But I'm going to have recording capability in all 5 rooms.
Okay.
So yeah, there's sessions we don't want to record because you want to have a candid conversation.
Right. So I just want to clarify that they're all recordable, but it depends on whoever's in there whether or not they want it recorded.
We'll talk about that.
Because this session is going to be recorded.
Well, we're gonna. This is one of those things. Those need to be private sessions and
Yeah.
not necessarily on schedule, because they should be invite only, so you can have a candid conversation and we can reserve the room and set it aside. And like we did with my special science fiction meetings, we put somebody on the door. And unfortunately, a few people were late, and our door guard was diligent, and wouldn't let the science fiction authors in. So
Do you
I
know
thought
who I am?
I thought they blew me off, but there's like 20 of them standing outside being held at bay, and it was pretty cool, man. I love that dude. But we opened it up and let them all in, and those private sessions, it's great for conversations. It's great to move forward with something if you can have a candid conversation, and that's
Yeah.
something that I would not deign to record either, because there's no reason. It's if you can't have a conversation about something because you're recording it, but everything that's going to be a presentation or a panel, those are different. Those are different than candid conversations. So
Yeah.
no candid conversations will be recorded in Vegas.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll caveat it that way.
I noticed Eric Uglin is like his life will be complete if he can do a Top Gun high five with you.
Who is that?
Eric Uglin. So I just
Oh,
noticed him
hey,
going around.
he's one of your new authors.
Yes, but yeah, I saw that, Eric. So I think, Craig, what we need to do is kind of like Santa Claus. All the kids come up and they sit on Santa Claus, but actually it'd be a high five opportunity. It's like, who would like a Top Gun high five with Craig
I'll
Martelle?
just stand at the entrance to
Yeah.
Sam's Live. Yeah. Yep. So the conference, but one conference. I mean, I'm doing some work right now trying to line up the sessions and get the guest speakers all on board and ready to register, and pre-registering the guest speakers just to make sure that they don't get barred just because we're sold out. I figure we're going to sell out in an hour, maybe two. 1,500 seats. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Excellent. On from the question, what would I do as knowing what I know? What would I make 2020 my goal if I had to start from scratch? If it was brand new and I was going to start from scratch, and I think the answer would be I would first work on my characters, making sure that I have a book that people don't want to put down because they love the characters so much. Which is not, if you want to think about that, that's not an action adventure. Action adventure usually gets, and the people who read it, their first is how much action is in this. Am I having, pew pew on every single page, or am I having a car chase? For me, it's always about characters, people wanting to come back and reread that story. And that would be what I would focus on, as well as I would find the best cover that I could afford in my budget that causes people to stop and want to know more. Then I would work on the title to make sure that it is at least neutral to positive, and then my blurb, and make sure that first 3,000 words of that story causes people to say, what do I, when's the next piece coming? And that is
I,
what I would work on.
I have to say that's probably the best advice for any new authors is you've got to hone your craft. You've got to make sure that story is gripping and engaging for the readership that you think you're writing for. So having that first thing, I like James Bond, right? James Bond, look at that first scene always. Something exciting happens and it has nothing to do with the rest of the book.
Yeah.
It's not Blofeld. It's just some bad guy that
Random.
Bond is going after. It's some random action sequence that kicks off the movie, and then you get the high end music, the custom a song to start it, and then it goes into now we start the story. But that is when you're thinking action adventure, that's exactly it. You hook them with the action, you set the stage for the adventure, and then you go forth and conquer. So understanding your craft and understanding how you can grip the readers and keep them on board. Those first 3,000 words, we've set up in 20 books the MVP threads where people form their own groups to read each other's stuff. Those first 3,000 words and just give feedback. Even from an author standpoint, it's still better if you can get readers, but until you have readers, finding readers is a challenge. So you take what you can get and make those first 3,000 words a hook, and then go forth. Characters, read anything that John Truby put out in regards to story structure. because that is The Anatomy of Story by John Truby is going to give you enough a wealth of information and wisdom that will carry you forward if that's how you learn. For me, I read thousands of science fiction books, so I knew what I liked. I knew what a consistent theme was that drew me back. And so I just went with that. I went with my own personal studies of story structure and characters and plot. And I think that has served me well.
Is John coming back? So
John's coming back. He's coming back. He's going to do at least 2 sessions. I told him third would be cool. And he's thinking he's writing another book on. He shared it with me. I'm sorry I forgot, but what it exactly was. But he wants to present that session. So I asked him if he would do that. It's genre focused without being focused on genre tropes. So I think that is going to be something that'll really be worthwhile for everybody. Well, he hasn't completely figured it out yet, so he's still working on it.
So he has a concept that's confusing to all of us, including him.
Yes.
Excellent.
But he's going to have it figured out by November and be able to present on it. So okay. That's my convoluted take on what he's working on. So John Truby, he's going to be doing the story rescue again. Mm-hmm. And we have 1 hour-and-a-half session, thanks to Mal Cooper, who she insisted that she could not be contained in 45 minutes. And after watching her videos, I agree. So imagine and she's not going to slow down. She's going to talk just as fast for an hour and a half instead of 45 minutes.
Yeah, there's no off. There's no down. There's either talking or not.
Or offline. Yeah, that's there's no. So the way this year is going to work is we're going to have the intro, me and you, for a half hour, immediately roll into a 45-minute session with the high-powered authors, a panel in the main room, then a half-hour break, and everybody can intermingle after that. And then I've got Mal on the main stage for an hour and a half. John Truby will have an hour and a half as well, because his story rescue, there was a lot of people, a lot of conversation. Last year, he took an hour and a half, but he had the last session of the day. So he was in the room from, like 4:15 to 5:30, where actually answering questions and stuff. So we're going to put in, we'll fill a couple others with an hour and a half session. And then there's no lunch breaks this year. We're going to roll right through. So you just take lunch when you want and go without overwhelming the Fridays or those other folks. We'll give them a big block of time where people might come wandering in. Just with 1,500 people, we don't want to have a 45-minute space where everybody goes and tries to get fed at one time.
As we close this concept down, one of the things that I really like to encourage people to do is realize that 20 Books Vegas is international. We have seen the people who did what we were hinting, if not outright telling, which is get a group of people together, find a TV that you can connect to the internet, have your own meeting while you showed some of the live streams. That's the purpose of some of what is going on. And we would love to find out who this is and when it's happening. And if there's a way for people to promote, I'm going to do this at XYZ restaurant because they have the TV and so on and so forth. And that is the piece that I would love to know that's happening. But
and so since we've got our template for running a party, like a Super Bowl watch party, but for 20 Books Vegas, we'll be able to get that up much earlier this year and get people energized to do that if they aren't traveling to Vegas or aren't able to travel to Vegas. Should have watch parties set up around the world.
I won't see you and Kevin J. Anderson. You're not going to just drop in, are you, this year?
I'm not going this year. 2021, I will be going.
Okay. But I will see some of the others that are starting to show up just because it's becoming the event, Kevin, should you ever watch this. And we're doing this next week?
Yeah, I think that's, are we doing this on March or February 1st? I'm good with it. I'm good with it if you are.
Yeah, it's the following week is Superstars, so that would be a no-go, but we do it next week and then we'll come back around after that and do it 2 weeks later. And
Yeah,
then
the
we'll,
15th. And
yes,
actually, I'll be in Vegas on the 16th.
yes, you will, but we're not telling people that. So,
Now,
shh, everybody watching, ever.
now we got a full schedule. We got stuff to do, and so yeah, it is a trip out uh, where it's not minus 25 or minus 30, which is temps this week. So anywhere other than that is good.
Yeah, I like that. Let's just say what it is. Mike, I like you just fine. I like the weather more.
Yeah, yeah. Come to visit the weather. Oh yeah, you're there. That's cool. it's it's warm, but then London at the beginning of March, going for
Mhm.
SPS and the London Book Fair,
SP Live.
and then I actually don't have. I have GaryCon, which is a convention I go to play games with the old role play gamers at the end of March, and after that, I don't have any shows. I'm not going to anything set because Cuenca got canceled. So I think from the London Book Fair, we might whip to Europe over the summer for a couple weeks. But outside of that, I'll be next thing will be Vegas. So I'm only
Nice.
doing two shows in 2020.
The year of resting.
It is. It is. I need 1 to 3 months for my heart to get back into an even beat. So that's what I'll have to. That's what I'll be doing. A lot of time at home trying to get the words. And like I told you, I got 2,200 words already today
Hmm.
on Metal Legion 8, which is the last book in that series, and probably get another 1 or 2 thousand words today before I stop writing. But I'll be capturing notes. I've saved the thread on recommended panels and presentations and workshops, and I'll go through and I'll pick some that look pretty good. There was some good stuff in there, a lot of good stuff. So
Perfect.
we have confirmation. The number of speakers and the quality of the speakers this year is increasing with as people roll in because we've started contacting them. I had to wait until after my surgery, so I had my wits about me, and also that I was still alive. And then since I am, we're contacting people and getting a really good response. Vegas is the show. I mean, with 1,500 self-published authors, if you want to speak to authors, if you want to uh, be around that many authors or authors of, because at that point now it's like Amazon. You go through and you pick, oh, I like this genre, so let me go find those people and let's hang out and have a beer, sit out by the pool, and have a conversation about what are the trends with this, what about this marketing effort, what about this new company, what do you think? And the it will be a constant deluge of people talking about self-publishing. It is the most welcoming conference you've ever been to. Just ask anybody who's gone. The upbeat, the hotel staff last year went out of their way to tell me how nice our people were, and that's a testament to the 20 books philosophy of reach a hand back and help somebody else. So thank you all for considering coming and bringing your A game, which is cool. No small talk. We just go and books and our genre and unicorns and all that kind of good stuff. And my dad will be there again. Please get your picture taken with him. And we'll do Christmas cards again this year. But you have to get them through my sister in order to be collected. So we'll keep it limited. And portraits. Troy Hill will be there again to do portraits. The author profile photos. And industry day. So we're actually 5 days this year as opposed to 3. It's a 10th to the 12th for the conference itself, but the 9th, that's industry day, where industry professionals all have a table in the Ponderosa room, and it'll look like a big dealer hall, a big vendor hall. So you'll be able to meet with them, and they'll be there, and that's to because after the last show, I did get a number of requests for, hey, I'd like to do a meet and greet. And I looked at the request. I'm like, the whole conference would be nothing but industry meet and greets, industry presentations. And I'm okay with having a few, but I'm not okay with having all of them being industry folks. I like indies teaching indies and indies learning from indies. So To make our industry folks feel welcome, we gave them a full day. Here's a full day on the front end. And then you can set your follow buys for the rest of the week. And then on Friday, we're going to wrap up with a book sales and signing. So that'll be, we'll do Sam's Live, and should be about 250 authors in there hawking their books. And you can sell them this year, thanks to Wolfpack Publishing. They're going to be running the cash register to make sure that Nevada sales tax gets accounted for. And then they'll be paying it off their business license based on your sales. So it'll be a two-step process, but still, it's the way we have to do it. Otherwise, the conference gets fined, and I'm not going to be fined because somebody wants to make a $10 cash sale direct over their table without paying Nevada sales tax. You will not get me in trouble with Nevada. Anyway, so much going on. So much going on. Yeah.
Yes, you focused. Hey, everybody. 2020 is going to be great. We hope that we're able to provide a little bit of information. Please give us ideas of what you'd like us to chat about. I'm usually head down in the business, so I don't actually get much on social media. So I don't know what people are asking about, except occasionally people will tag me. And if I'm in between situations and someone tags me, I'll see it. And then I'll actually go back and go, what the hell are they? What's going on? Who's using my name and thing? But look forward to talking to you next week. Craig, you want to take us out of here?
And yes, this session was I meandered a bit, but 2020 goals. Make sure you write down 1 or 2 goals that you want to accomplish, and then the steps to achieve those goals. Because if you want to have a 1,000,000-word year, that means you need to average 2,700 words a day. So put that out there and make sure you understand the steps to achieve the goal. If you want to sell 100,000 books, for me, I can't control the reader spending the money on my books, but what I can control is how I market and present that and learn where these readers are until I can have 100,000 readers that I can touch and say, this is the book that you need to buy. And it is compelling for them to buy it. What you can control versus the goal. I want to make $1 million this year. Okay, that's nice, but once again, what are the steps that you can control? So your goal and the steps to achieve it, and see what you can do about that. And then let's hear from you in a month or two about how you're doing to it.
That sounds good.
Peace, fellow
Bye,
humans.
everybody.